Good afternoon. So let us continue. We have started with the third unit and we have seen how exactly the clustering algorithms are used in the data science, different methods like k-means clustering, how it is working. Now today we will see the concept of association rule mining, another different ways by which the rules are created, patterns are found, and we'll proceed further to generate their rules. So as we have seen last topic, we are going to see the same thing. We'll see the things theoretically and then I'll show the things practically also. How can we work with the respective data set or with the respective algorithm ahead on the given set. We'll try to do practically and we'll proceed further. So let's continue. Association rule mining. So many rules are there which are created with the help of some associations. So it's called as market basket analysis also. We are familiar with this. We have seen this particular concept multiple number of times. Okay, so but they are created by some specific kind of algorithms. So what algorithms are present behind it? That we'll see step by step. First of all, what is the meaning of association rules? So there are many ways to see similarities between the items, multiple items, multiple different goods that we have. We have a set of elements with us. We have to check the similarity between them. A technique which is used to have to find the similarity between the items is called as the associations. Okay, it's falling under the umbrella of association that we say. Association, and with the help of association, we generate the rules that we term as the association rules here. The outcome of this technique is simple terms like set of rules that can be understood as if this, then that. Okay, if this, then that. So if you are going to make use of such kind of method, okay, like if this is present, then that is happening. Dependencies are there. Okay, the dependencies between different kind of names, different kind of goods, different kind of products, different kind of things can be found with the help of the association rule mining technique. So association rule mining is data mining technique that find a pattern in the data, that generate the rules in the data. So the pattern found by association rule mining represent the relationship between the items. When this is used with the sales data, it is called as market basket analysis. You might have heard this term before also, market basket analysis. So market basket analysis is the product. Okay, so after creating that rules, you provide the suggestions to them. And by this, customer will get to know about that product. Yeah, he will get revised, he will get reminded. Or in second angle also is there, we can improve our sale, we can improve our profit. Okay, so more and more number of sale, more and more number of product that we can sell and we can reach towards the customer by this method. That's why it's called as market basket analysis. See, continuing with market basket analysis, I will have an example of the association rules. These are the 5 baskets. Okay, and it contains some purchased goods from the customers here. Like in the first, customer have purchased milk. Second, okay, milk, bread, cereal. Then milk, sugar, bread, eggs. Then milk, bread, butter. Another is sugar and eggs. So n number of customers. Some four customers. Let's say n number of customers are there, and their baskets or the product that they have purchased in the basket, that's what is shown over here. Now observe everyone's basket by looking at, okay, the 4 are there. We have thousands of data, lakhs of entries present in it. That may be possible. So in that case, what to do? That's we have to remember here. So let's see. If you check, observe it. when you are purchasing milk, you are purchasing bread also. Correct. Milk, bread, and milk bread. Firstly, customer number 1, 2, 3 contains milk and bread connected. So when someone purchases milk, you suggest them bread. Correct. Or sugar and eggs. Someone is purchasing sugar, you suggest them eggs also. Check the eggs is also present there. Sugar and eggs. Correct. That's also present over there. So when sugar is purchased the sugar, eggs also, they are connected. That's what analysis is done, and the rules are created. So rule is like if this, then that. So they are given a technical names to them. I'll show you what technical name that they are having. If this, what, and what's the meaning of then that. Where we use this kind of techniques. Some more applications are also there, but let's talk about some common idea of applications here. So what kind of items you are talking about? There are many applications of associations. Product recommendation system, Amazon that we have, something like this. If you have seen Raspberry Pi, when I purchase Raspberry Pi, it shows frequently bought together. I have purchased only Raspberry Pi, only this item. And below that is showing Raspberry Pi 3 official case also, black color case. And they are suggesting me the data cable and power cable also, along with charger cable also together can have. So how they knows about it? So this is what product recommendation system present for Amazon, Flipkart, eBay, different website uses that product recommendation system. Previously, when the customer has purchased that particular item, he or she has purchased the other items also. That's what they are given, frequently bought together. And now they have given this name. Previously it was like who bought that also bought this, like kind of suggestions were given that time. Music recommendation. So if I'm listening particular music, you just take YT music, YouTube music, that they're showing this recommendation systems there. Recommendations, because previously when a particular person has listened to this song, so he has listened other songs also. After that, he was in sad mood, so he has started listening a sad song. When it is finished, then again he has listened another song. And next time when another person listens to that sad music, so they will suggest that you can listen this song also. Okay, or if you check the YouTube video site, so you can see there also the same kind of things are present. That when I'm watching a respective video of a kind, okay, for example, I'm watching any movie like Nepali movie I'm watching, so they will show you Nepali movies on the right hand side. Or if I'm watching a movie of a respective actor, so similar actors movies also can be seen, or similar genre movies can also be seen. Okay. Most of the time we are looking for a movie that will appear in the recommendation there. This is recommendations. These recommendations are given from this particular kind of algorithm, association rule mining. Medical diagnosis. Yes, medical diagnosis. Very interesting thing is that how association rule will support the medical diagnosis system. So basically, a set of different diagnoses or different tablets or different syrups are given to particular kind of patient. Okay, so if you are regularly giving this kind of patient, so you are having association that if you got this particular disease, so this medicine is there for you. If this, then that. If you're having fever, so use this. If you're having cold, then use this. If you're having headache, then use this. Previously, if that symptom was present, the doctor has given this particular medicine, they know that. Now association rules are created. Content optimization, like magazine, website, or blog. If I'm reading a particular kind of blog, particular kind of news online, they will recommend me, yeah, read this news also, because the person who has read this news, they have read that news also. Yes, if this, then that. Like, so this is one sort of unsupervised learning. It's a data mining technique, core data mining technique, but it's kind of unsupervised learning also. You find the rules, you find the pattern in the data, and based on that you provide the output. That is association rules, like unsupervised kind of learning methodologies applied over here. Okay, so here we'll focus on the retail application. That's we'll see that's how it is done. This is an example of it. If this, then that. Yes, frequently bought together. Yes. Why association rules are important? Three reasons I have formulated here. Why do we apply the association rules? From company's point of view, if the question is like that, then you must be able to answer that. Why? Multiple reasons are there. Out of the three most popular reasons that we can find, there is a book of data mining. Very famous book is there from Hahn and Camber. Three authors are there. Hahn, Camber, data mining, which is very commonly used for learning data mining. They have devised detailed idea about the association rules there. You can find that afterwards. First method, why your association rules? It helps businesses to build sales strategies. Correct? What do you think? See, if the customers are taking milk and bread together, so you know that if I'm having 10 liters of milk, I'll have 10 packets of bread also. Decide your strategies. What to take, what not to. If you are purchasing Raspberry Pi, so customers are purchasing the case of Raspberry Pi also. I cannot take case separately. Case is depend upon Raspberry Pi. You have taken it, then only you are taking this, because that's why decide strategies. Which product to take, keep in your sales room, or which are not. That decisions are done. That strategies are decided by the help of association rules. Ultimately, the main objective of any business to become profitable. Exactly. This means attracting more and more customer by improving their sales. You suggest can improve your profit. Okay, by identifying product that sell better together, they build better strategies. For instance, knowing the people who buy fries almost have a buy Coke can be exploited to drive up sales. Yes. The things which are coming together, we just can purchase together and we can sell together. Not only two, maybe three are connected to four, or maybe one is connected to two is connected to one, three connected to two. That's also possible. So these rules identification important. So you decide in future which kind of product I will keep, and if I'm keeping this particular product, along with that, what other product I can keep. That is business strategy that will be decided with the help of association rule. The first advantage. Second, it helps to build marketing strategies also. Attracting more customer is very important part of any business. Knowledge of what products sell together and which product don't is key in building strategies are there. Okay, we generally work like that. For example, one of the website which this website got a bookvishwa.com. So they are explaining the books. So they are selling the books of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So along with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, they are selling the books of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj also. They are connected together. So they are giving recommendations to them. So you're purchasing this book, so you just purchase that book also. Most of the time, more than 90% time, people take these books together, and they are giving offers also. Like for example, if you're purchasing these two books, you'll get this book in that particular discount. So again, sale improves. Profit is not decreased. Their sale improves. As sale improves, you are giving towards more and more customers, and obviously that will help to grow your business. That will help to get reliability from the customers also. Yes, and you can build your marketing strategies based on that. If this is not selling, so make it available with others. If this, then that. So if you purchase, you will get discount of that. Like that, associations can be found. So this includes the planning of sales and advertisement as well as targeted marketing also. Targeted marketing. Specifically target that particular people. Yesterday we have seen clustering techniques. In clustering techniques also same things are there. Targeted marketing we do. We target that people, that clusters only. Again in that we have associations. So they are trained to be in that particular mentality. So target them. For example, the knowledge of some ornament do not sell, as well as during the Christmas that may help the manager offer sale on some non-frequent ornament. That's what I told about. Association rules will suggest you, and if some products are now being association, so you just define different strategies. So association identification and non-association both will help you to build the marketing strategies, obviously. Okay, that's what we can have the association rules here. And third, why it helps shelf life planning. So in the market or in a particular store, we are keeping this particular product on the shelf. So what's the lifetime of it? You're keeping it on the shelf, you are wasting that place on the shelf for how many months? How many months? The knowledge of association rule can enable store managers to plan their inventory as well as ensure that they don't lose out overstocking or low selling perishables. Yes, overstocking. We are having a huge amount of stock. Low selling perishables are there. So it means they are very rarely sold. After 15 days, one item is getting sold there. But we can plan. So where to keep it? That's connected to what? Where you have to showcase it. Okay, both are coming together. You can see that someone has seen that item, so you can see that just near to that another item is there. Can I purchase it? Obviously, that's what is possible there. You can see most of the time the multiple different places, multiple restaurants are just connected to each other. Okay, you might have seen Joshi Vadewale and Yevle teas are connected together. Their associations are there, rules. Okay, remember. So that's what association rules, self-life planning we can decide. For instance, if olives don't sell very often, the manager will stock up on it. Yes, but he still wants to ensure that existing stock sells before the expiration date. Yes, before expiration date. That's what to remember. The consumables and medicines, for both the case, the same thing happens. So with the knowledge that people who buy pizza dough tend to buy olives also. So olives can be offered as lower price with the combination of the pizza dough. Correct. Combine them together and just give it to the person. So associations will help you to plan according. So in case of, so remember, in business management also this kind of strategies are there, but we are hopeful, we are fortunate that we have automated algorithm present with us. They don't have, they designed by Jane Bruin separately, but we don't have to use that. We have to apply a standard technical systematic algorithm. With the help of that, rules can be found and business strategy will be decided. We'll help them. So what data scientists actually does, they are acting as a support system for the business. Okay, we are data scientists are the part of it. Okay, so if you know that strategies well, then we can perfectly be a part of decision making strategies of your company. Association rules can be built by that. Okay. Yeah, one more, health store organization also. Products which are known to drive the sales of other product can be moved closer together in the store. That's why you are talked about in sale planning also. Closer together. Most of the products are not sold very commonly, but if you know that they are connected to that particular product, okay, if this product is there, so you can purchase this product also. Combine them together. Okay, keep it on the same shelf. Combine. For instance, the sale of butter is driven by the sale of bread. It can be moved on same as well in the store. Bread are sold very commonly, but known very rarely the butters are sold. So we know that there is an association between them, bread and butter. We say that it's my bread and butter. So bread and butter can be sold together at a time because there's an association present in between them also. That is what association rule will give us. Okay. So advantages. Now let's talk about the conceptualization. I want to put them in the term of formulas. So when I want to answer the question, so how exactly can I answer? That's also very important to know. Okay, we already discussed the concept of item and item sets. Item means a product or a good that I will purchase. Anything I can purchase. When I go to Kirana store, any grocery store or any stationery store, so I used to take that items, 4 items, 5 items, 6 items. So we give them name as a I. I is a set of items. What talking about set? In set, data are not duplicated. Entries, items, products are not duplicated. That is set. Set of it. So I1, I2, I3 till IN number of items I am having in my item set. So using this idea, I will create a transaction. TN, nth transaction. Transaction is set of random item which is purchased from the store. Set of random items which are purchased from the store. Let's say I1, I, J, I, K, I, N, I, M, I, O, I, P, any number. So transactions. Transaction that is done by the customers, they may be having random number of items in it. Random number means first of all I'll have 3, second customer 4, third customer 1, fourth customer 6, next customer 15 items are there. So every customer will be having some random number of items present in the respective transactions there. Okay, and now what is the rule? Check out the rule mentioned over here. This is like rule. Okay, if customer is purchasing I1 and I2, he is purchasing IK also. So I is common. I means is an item, product that you are purchasing, that you are taking. Okay, like in market basket analysis I'm talking about. So everywhere the items are. If item 1 is there, item 2 is there, then item K can also be there, is also there basically. I1, I2 are coming together, that time Ik is also coming together. K is a number. Maybe item number 10 is that, item number 12, 13, 14, 18, 20, like any item can be present there. This is a rule, and they are represented like in the set format. If I1, I2, then Ik. Now, in this case, the I1 and I2 are called as antecedents. Antecedent, ANTECEDENTS. In practical, I'll show you how they are created. Antecedents, and Ik is called as consequents. Antecedent and consequent. Antecedent means if this, and consequent means then that. Antecedent and consequence. Let's see. Yeah. So let's devise a rule, association in terms of actual data set presented here. Association, which can be read as if user buys an item in the item set on the left hand side, from the left hand side, then the user will likely to buy the item on the right hand side also. Check this. If coffee and sugar, then milk also. So coffee can't be created only by using coffee and sugar. You require a milk also. Okay, you purchase coffee, you purchase sugar, along with that you purchase milk. So if customer buys a coffee and sugar, then they are likely to buy milk. So in the with this we can understand three important ratios. We'll see that one. We're having that in the upcoming sessions. Coffee, sugar. This is called as antecedent. A set of if this is called as antecedent, and then that is called as consequent. So antecedent and consequent are connected together by a rule which is called as association rule. Okay, this is what shown over here. Coffee, sugar. If coffee and sugar, then milk also. Yeah. So how algorithm actually perform the operation? We'll see generalized tips, and then we'll go for type of algorithm and which algorithm we are having in syllabus, not syllabus, commonly used algorithm actually, which is used to generate association rules in many different kind of situations. Step number 1, find all frequent item sets. Frequent item set, frequency of item. Frequency means out of all the transaction, the item is present for how many number of times. That's called as frequency of item set. Okay. And in technical terminology of data science, data mining, we call it as a support. We'll see that support, how it's calculated. And second, step number 2, generate the strong association rules from the frequent item sets. Frequent item set as given as input is given as input to the set number 2, and with the help of that the association rules are formulated. Association rules are Just a minute, you are disconnected, I think, again. Okay. So a set of items in the shopping basket can be referred to as an item set. It can consist of number of product like bread, butter, eggs, and anything that we have taken from that database. Now, frequent item set is one that occurs frequently in the database. This begs the question of how frequency is defined. Okay, now there is a terminology called as support of item set. Support of item set. Item or item set. Both are there. Single item can also be there, or a set of items can also be there. That's called a support. So support is a count of an item defined as the frequency of item in the data set. How frequent the respective item is present in the data set is called as the support of it. The support. Now support will check the popularity of item in the item set. See, for example, in a particular store, electronic store, so some many different kind of electronic goods are there, and most of the customers are purchasing the pen drives. Commonly the interest cost is also very less. That's why I'm talking about it. Pen drives, 80% customers, they are coming to that market, that particular store, they are purchasing pen drive also. So the support of pen drive is 80%. Out of all the transaction, 80% time people, customers have purchased the pen drives also. That is called as the support. So popularity of item in terms of the sale, in terms of existence of it in the transaction is called as the support. See this one. Let's take an example and let's try to understand it. Because this is a very important property which is used as input to the association rule mining kind of algorithms here. Let's see that. Support says how popular an item is and measured by the proportion of transaction in which item set appears. Popularity of item is identified with the help of this particular concept, measured by the proportion of transaction in which item set appears. Okay, proportion of it. Now the table 1 which is shown over here, it's containing this. Let's talk about some transactions here. Let's see, there are 8 transactions shown over here. Okay, 8 transactions are there, and every customer has purchased different items: apple, beer, rice, and chicken. So 4 different items are mentioned over here. Transaction 2, apple, beer, rice. Second, apple, beer. So that is apple, pear. Okay, then milk, beer, rice, chicken. Milk, beer, rice. Milk, beer. Milk, pear. Okay, 8 transactions, 8 customers, 8 transactions. Now let's take the support of apple. Apple. So in all 8 transactions, how many number of times the apple has occurred? 4 times. Out of 8, 4 times the apple has occurred in the transaction. So 4 by 8, 4 out of 8, that is the support of the apple, 50%, 0.5. Okay, that's what a support of it. And what's the support of beer? 6 out of 8, 75% time. Beer. Rice, 4 out of 8, 50% time. Milk, 4 out of 8, 50% time. Chicken and pear, 25% time, 2 out of 8. That's the support of that particular data. Now see, I'm talking about the support of individual item. How popular is individual items? Highest support is there for the beer, which is 75% time is present in transactions. And I can have a support of set of items also. Let's see the support of apple, beer, and rice. So 2 out of 8 times they are coming together. 2 out of 8 times. 25% support. For what? Apple, beer, and rice coming together support. Or apple and beer, 3 out of 8. 3 out of 8. That is the support of apple, beer, and apple and beer only. What's the support of Apple, beer, rice and chicken, it is 1 out of 8. Fine. What's the support of milk and beer? 3 out of 8. The support can be there for individual item as well as a set of items too. Remember, that's what is popularity, frequency of the given item or item set in the item set, in the transaction, set of transactions basically. It's called as a support, which is shown over here. See, it's how we define the support. Defining support as percentage help us to set a threshold for frequency called minimum support. Minimum this support should be present, then only you're going to take this transaction in the consideration. Let's say, for example, 100 transactions are there, and out of 100 transactions, only one transaction contains the item which is something like any item, like for example, some chocolate is there. Cadbury has purchased 100 transaction, out of 100 only one time Cadbury is present. One time, remember, one time is 1% supported. Can it generate a rule? No, it's not possible to generate a rule if only one time it is present there. So minimum support should be given 10%. So Cadbury should be present 10% transaction, then only consider it in the rule. That's why the frequency of item set are identified first. So defining a support is important. There's a concept called a minimum support. If it is minimum that amount of time is present, then only consider it for the rule creation. Remember. So if you set a support at 50%, this means that we define the frequent item set as one of that occurs at least 50% time in the 100 transaction. 50% time that should be present. So for instance, for the above data set, we set a threshold value support to 60%. So 60% minimum support, it means that out of 5 transactions, 60% support is present. So 3 transactions will be considered only, remaining others are not. So for an item set to be frequent, it should occur at least 3 times in 5 transactions in the given data set, if I given that. Remember, that's first threshold criteria is required. Threshold criteria that will set you to create the perfect rules out of it. So just I told about the Cadbury. If you're just saying that any particular chocolate, okay, Dairy Milk, Cadbury Dairy Milk, for example. So it's purchased only one time, no rules. 2 times can be rule, but frequency is not good. So at least 10 times should be purchased, 20 times, 25 times. That's what the support is required. So we always eliminate those items whose support is less than minimum support. Whose support is less than minimum support. If it's less than that, then don't consider it. Remember, that is what requirement of data analysis is. Okay. So as seen from the grayed out part of the table above, okay, it was shown there. The generation of frequent items, it depends on the algorithm used. They are required actually. Multiple algorithms are there which are used to generate the rules. So how to generate that? That we will see with the algorithms. Now, second step is generating the rules. First step in generalized algorithm is to generate create a frequent item set with the help of support. And in second, generate the rules. Generating strong association rule from frequent item sets. Association rule are generated by building association from frequent item set generated in this step number 1, and they uses a metric to find strong association, that is called as confidence. First we have seen the support, frequency of item, and second is called as confidence and lift. 2 more are there, confidence and lift, which are used to generate the strong association rules out of it. Let's see what exactly the confidence is. Now, accuracy or strongness, there is no accuracy present. The strongness of the rule will be checked with the help of the concept of confidence. So 3 properties, association properties are present over here. First, we have already seen support. The fraction of our item set occurs in our data set is called as the support. Second is confidence. Probability that rule is correct for new transaction item on the left. That is called as confidence. We'll see in practical example right now. Lift. The ratio by which the confidence of rule exceeds the expected confidence. That's called a lift. So these 3 are of association rules. Okay, if you are having good properties or good values of these 3 kind of properties, then association rules consider perfect, well, and we can implement it very clearly. Let's see. Confidence. What is confidence? Let's see it clearly. Confidence is the first measure and main measure to check the association rules and their effectiveness, basically. This is likely item Y is purchased when item X is purchased. How likely? See, expressed as X, Y. Okay, if X, then Y. This is measured in the proportion of transaction with X with Y also appears. Table 1, which is present here. See the formula. I'll go to the table 1. Now see. What do you mean by support? Okay, we have seen that. Now check about the confidence. Now the confidence, like for example, let's see. I am the confidence of rule. If apple, then beer. The rule is if apple, then beer. If you purchase apple, then you most likely purchasing beer also. What is the confidence? How many number of times you have purchased the apple? 4 times. Out of 4 times, how many number of times you have purchased beer? 3 times. So when you purchase apple 4 times, out of 4 times you purchase 3 times beer also. Confidence of this rule is 3 by 4. 75% times. Means you purchased apple 100% time, and 100% time, how many percent time you have purchased the beer also? 3 times. That is 75% time. So if apple, then beer is a rule, and its confidence is 75%. Okay, see this one. Here, I have purchased apple 4 times, and along with apple 3 times I have purchased the beer also. So the rule's confidence is 75%. Let's talk about another also. I have purchased apple and beer. Okay, and if apple and beer, then rice. If apple and beer, then rice. What's that? I have purchased apple and beer, and along with that I have purchased rice. What's the confidence of it? Let's see. I have purchased apple and beer 3 times. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And I purchased rice also along with how many number of times? 2 times. So 2 by 3. 2 by 3, that is the confidence of this rule. If apple and beer, then rice also. Apple and beer coming together for 3 times. Out of it 2 times rice also coming together. That is what confidence is. Remember, take one more example. Let's see milk and beer. It's confidence milk and beer. I purchased milk for 2 times. Out of it 3 times I purchased beer also. So 3 out of 4 I am purchasing that. That is called 75% time. Again, it is correct and confident. If I am purchasing milk, I am purchasing beer also 75% time. That is confidence of the rule milk then beer, or if apple then beer. Fine. See. So in this table, apple to beer rule is 3 out of 4. Means out of 4 times I purchase the beer also. This is 70%. So you can check it out. Confidence of when apple then beer is equal to formula support of both divided by support of first. Easy. Apple coming together, apple coming for 4 times. Out of that, beer also coming 3 times. This is support. 3 out of 4. 75% is the confidence. And confidence defines the effectiveness of that rule. If I purchase this, then that. Before that, how many number of times this was happened? 75% time it has happened. So next time when customer is purchasing apple, you suggest the beer also. Next time you are purchasing milk, suggest the beer also. That's what we are getting. And if they are purchasing apple and beer together, suggest the rice also, because it is true for 66% times. 2 out of 3. This is called as the confidence. Okay. So according to confidence, you extract the rules. How much confidence is that? You extract it and we say it, we show it, we use it for further operations ahead. confidence. So the support and confidence thing, and after we have one more property called as lift. This is very actually complicated. Let's see. Remember the formula. I'll explain what exactly it's created. How this is how likely an item Y is purchased when item X is purchased. How likely item Y is purchased when item X is purchased. While controlling the popularity of Y, while controlling the popularity of Y, popularity. See how. In table 1, the lift of apple and beer is 1. It implies that association between lift value is greater than 1 means Y is likely to be bought if item X is bought, while the value is less than Y is likely to be bought if item X is bought. Remember, that's what lift is showing us. And the formula for lift is lift of apple and beer. If apple, then beer is equal to support of both divided by support of first into the support of second. Lift. Okay, so 1 means, see, when I get the value 1, when both of their support and the multiplication of them is also same. Okay, and if you're getting greater than that, then Y item, that is beer, is likely to be bought when item apple is bought. When value is less than 1 means unlikely to be bought when value X is bought. So generally, value of lift should be as above 1, it should be above 1 as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Have this most popularity of the rule, that is what lift called as. Remember, so support, confidence and lift, these are the 3 evaluation method for the association rules present. We have to use that in. I'll show how exactly practically this should be done and how can I make use of this particular properties rules very effectively in our system. Now, what are the algorithms now used there? We have talked about generalized algorithm, but in general, at actual, there are 3 different algorithms used to generate association rules, and they are listed here. Algorithm, ECLAT algorithm, and FP growth algorithm. FP growth is a modification of a priori itself. ECLAT is a specialized different algorithm presented, and in general, we use a priori algorithm for generation of association rules. Next one. A priori algorithm. Okay, this algorithm uses frequent data to generate association rules. That's what we have seen. The general idea which is there for association from the is taken in the a priori algorithm as it is. It is designed to work on data sets that contain the transactions. This algorithm uses braid first search and hash tree to calculate the item set frequency efficiency. BFS, you have talked about BFS, starting with first, second level, third level, fourth level. BFS algorithm is there. And mainly used for market basket analysis and help to understand product that can be together. Can also be used in healthcare field to find the drug reactions on patients. Also possible with a priori algorithm we can use it. A priori algorithm was the kind of algorithm BFS searching, braid first search, and hash trees are used to generate the association in a priori algorithm here. Second, ECLAT. So ECLAT algorithm stands for equivalence class transformation. That is a short form of equivalent class transformation, ECLAT, and its strategy is different. It uses depth first search algorithm to find the frequent items in the transaction databases. Remember, and it performs faster execution than our algorithm. Faster execution. Totally different. Check out. We have to explain that to mention about this. Breadth first search is used by a priori, and depth first search is used by ECLAT algorithm, equivalence class transformation algorithm. FP growth algorithm, frequent pattern growth. FP algorithm frequent pattern and its improved version of priori algorithms. That's what it is. It represents database in the form of a tree, frequent pattern or a tree. Frequent pattern or a tree. The purpose of this tree is to extract the most frequent item sets. That's what done by FP group. We'll not go in detail. We'll focus on the algorithm which is popularly used and which is present in the status. So that algorithm number 1. That we have to learn now. Let's go step by step how it built the decision rules. Okay. So this algorithm is considered one of the most basic association rule mining algorithm. It works on the principle that having prior knowledge and wait a minute again, it was disconnected. Just a minute. Yeah. Now, so a priori means having a prior knowledge. They're having a prior knowledge of frequent item sets. Based on that, the strong association rules are formulated. Now, what it does, a priori find the frequent item set by process called as the candidate item set generation. This is an iterative approach which is used there. Candidate item set generation. This is an iterative approach where k item sets are used to explore k plus 1 item sets. First, a set of frequent 1 item set is found, and then frequent 2 item sets, then frequent 3, then 4, 5, until no more frequent k item sets can be found. Okay, go on using all. A candidate k item set is an item set with k items in it. Example, candidate 2 item set can be bread, butter. Okay, for example, if I am having bread and butter, so 2 items are the candidate 2 item set, then it will be contained with 3 item set, then compare with 4, then compare with 5, then compare with 6. This kind of strategy is used by the a priori algorithm for association rule mining. To improve the efficiency of level-wise generation of frequent item set, an important property called a priori property is used to reduce the search space. A priori property, prior knowledge property, used to reduce the search space. A priori property states that all non-empty subsets of frequent item set must also be frequent. All non-empty subsets of frequent item set must also be frequent. That is what the a priori property says. Non-empty frequent item sets always be frequent. This means that if there is a frequent item, then its subset will also be frequent. See, subsequent things which are present, frequent and non-frequent. Individual element is frequent, subset is also frequent. That's what the property is saying. For instance, if bread, butter is frequent item set, it means that bread and butter must individually be frequent too. Individually they are frequently occurred, and frequent items will contain their higher frequency, higher support present there. That this property, this strategy, this characteristic, this feature is used by a priori algorithm to generate the rules. Let's go with the example. 4 steps are there. Algorithm contains 2 common steps that we have seen, that's also present over here, but they are divided into few more subsets over here. Let's see. So 4 transactions are there. TID means transaction ID. Basket contains ABC, AC, AD, BF. You can see the association. Is that any association there? We can find AC is having associations, or no other actually. But let's see. Let's come the simple example we'll see, and then we'll practically also see its association rules are created, how they are there. 3 steps association rule mining will take. First, set the minimum support and confidence threshold, then generate the candidate item set, and then third, mine the association rule. Simple. But remember, inside it, some more technical steps are present that we need to perform, we need to check, we need to carry out to generate the rules. First, set minimum support and confidence threshold. Okay, minimum support means minimum that amount of time the item or set of items should be present. Okay, and confidence also will set like 50% confidence rule should be generated. Like, so we set a threshold value as 50%, implying that we define item set as frequent if it occurs at least once in 2 transactions. The confidence introduced before that we have seen. So if you have set 50% confidence, the items or set of items should be present in the data item set at least 50% time in all transactions. So check it out. 50% minimum support confidence. Okay, 4 transactions are there. It's presented here. So in 4 transactions, 50% means 2. Hence, the minimum support count is 2, and minimum confidence count is also 2. It means that, see, the rules that we are having, okay, that rules or that item should be present at least 2 times out of 4 times. Set of transaction or singular rules, means set of items or single item. It should contain at least 50%, at least 2 times it should be present there. That the first requirement of having the frequent item set is. See, check it out. Step 2, generate the candidate item sets. Now here, candidate 1 item set is this. As I told, candidate 1, 2, 3 onwards, it's go on using it. Consists of individual product and their support counts respectively. Individual product and their support counts are there. So A, B, C, D, E, F. These are your items. Okay. And in that, what's the support count present? A 3 times, B 2 times, C 2 times, D 1 time, E 1 time, F 1 time. Now, what I mentioned? I have mentioned support count 50%. So discard D, E, F. They will not generate any association rules. Correct? Because they are present only one number of time. They are having support of 25% only. Out of 4, 1 time they are present. I am considering support 50%. So A is 3 out of 4, means 75% time A is present. 2 out of 4 B 50% time. 2 out of 4 C present 50% time. But D, F are present 1 out of 4 25% time. So they are deleted out of it. So they are not considered while generating the rules. Correct. So check it out. A occurs in 3 out of 4 transactions. So this grade row represent items item set whose support count did not meet the threshold requirement. So L1, the output that we got is candidate number 1, candidate 1 data set A, B, and C. Only 3 items will be considered in generating the rules. Okay. And one more. Okay, let's see. Go ahead. Item 2, candidate 2 item sets. How's that? So 2 items are there. We make combinations of them, and let's check that also. Combinations. Individual item we have seen. Candidate number 2 will be using. Now, whatever we have extracted in candidate number 1, only they are taken in candidate number 2. DA will not be considered afterwards. Getting? So A, B, C. Now, how many combinations of A, B, C are there? See the data which is shown in candidate 2 item set here. Candidate 2 item set consists of all possible 2 item set combinations of L1, previous level, and their respective support counts. Yes. See, AB coming together 1 time, BC coming together 1 time, and AC coming together 2 times. Out of 4, see this. AB, BC, and AC. So AB 1 time, BC 1 time, and AC 2 times. Here also and here also. Get it? That's what candidate 2 will have. So L2's output is A comma C. A comma C. A and C are coming together, generating the item set, candidate 2, candidate 3 now. Now, candidate 3 item sets are to be generated from level 2 containing all 3 items combinations. However, there are only 2 items there. The 3 is not possible. So, three items should be present. Then only we can have. So, 2 items are there. Result is finalized. What is that? If A, then C. Confidence is 50%. Okay. 50% confidence is there. Because A is coming together, A is coming 4 number at a time, out of the C is also coming there 2 number out of 4 times, coming 2 number of times. So we are left with 2 items only. We cannot generate the candidate 3 item sets. Candidate 3 is possible only when 3 items are there. So ones combination, then twos, then threes, then fours. Likewise, we go on using it and delete that one by one, and check it where items are in. Now remaining items are A, C. Rule is finalized if A, then C. That's it. These are the steps which are involved in the a priori algorithm that they do from frequent item sets. They go ahead of using it. Minimum support, minimum confidence. Minimum support 50%, confidence 50%. Accordingly, we extract it. We change it. It's not possible to have that. Confidence generally I keep 80% and support 10%. It's not, let's see, support minimum 10% time should be present. And confidence, okay, actually support we keep 1% also many times. It depends on the size of data set, but confidence should be perfect, good, means 80% will consider, 75 to 80%. If it is above that, then use it. Okay, means item has occurred 5 times, out of that 4 times second item is also occurred, 80% confidence, that's also we can use it there. This is what a priori algorithm is generating the association rules. Okay, so to mine the association rules from candidate item set, a measure confidence is used, which is defined as the association rule between them. Okay, how confident that rule is, that is defined. Consider an item set, bread, butter. 2 possible scenarios can be considered here. People who buy bread also buy butter. People who buy bread also buy butter. The sale of butter is driven by that of bread. This makes sense because any dish involving bread often involves butter. Okay. Second, the people who buy butter also buy bread. The sale of bread is driven by butter. This does not make a sense that butter can be used anything but not with the bread. Remember that. So this is what connectivities are there. If you can exchange also, but it depends whether the person purchasing second item or first item. Okay, purchasing second or first. So you can exchange that. I'll show programming. We can do that one. If second item is purchased, then we can have first item also. Or if first item is purchased, we can have second item also. Like that. Single, but if multiple are there, if 4 items are generating 1 and you are purchasing that 1, you cannot suggest them 4. So 1:1, 2:2, it's okay. Inverse I'm talking about. So inverse is not generally done in that case. 1:1, it's okay. A priori algorithm can perform a better generation of the rules by following such kind of the steps technically. Okay, so the confidence measure helps to identify which product drives the sale of which other product. Yes, correct. Just like an example of apple and beer. So apple is driving the beer actually. So 4 out of 3 times it's have taken 75% time. Correct. So for any product, A drives B, represented as A and then arrow B, which is same as B arrow A. Remember. So if the confidence association rule A to B, it means that 60% of transaction containing A also contains B together. Correct. Confidence. So basically, the confidence we have to define how much confidence you want in the rule, and based on that you identify, you extract the rules over there, and you perform the further operation of generating it and using that rules ahead. That is a priori algorithm. Okay, see more example. Let's talk about the support and confidence in detail for the same example here. See, now what we have. Consider the candidate item set that we have L2 AC, correct? AC that we have generated the result out of it. These are the frequent item set with support of 50%. Okay, 50%. A and C's confidence. Okay, they are sorry, support is 50%. How? See, A is present in the item set. A drives the sale of C. Okay, you can just check it out. Come back again. Now see. Here, A and C, they are coming together. How many number of times? They are coming together 2 times out of 4. So their support is 50%. A and C support. Okay. Then when A is coming, then C is also coming. How many time is happening? A is coming and C is coming? 66% time. because 3 times A is there and 2 times only C is present with that. And if C is coming along with it, A is also coming. How many number time it's happening? 100% time. So inverse rule is 100% and direct rule is 33%. Correct? So confidence of A, when I purchase A, I'm purchasing C is 66%, and confidence of when I purchase C, I'm purchasing A 100%. Remember. So that also, that threshold value also you can use to perform operations with. See, this is mentioned over here. Who drives what? So A drives sale of C. So when I'm purchasing A, then I'm purchasing C also, okay, which is 60%. And when I'm purchasing C, I'm purchasing A also, 100%. Correct. So here 2 out of 3. A is coming 3 times. Out of that, along with that, C is also coming 2 times. Correct. So 2 out of 3, 66%. And C is coming along with that, A is also coming. A is driving sale of A 100% time. 2 times C is present, and every time A is also present with him 100%. Since both rules have a confidence greater than 50%, both are accepted. However, C to A occurs with confidence 100%, implying that most occasions C drives the sale of A. So how they are connected? What side of confidence that they are having? How much support they are having? Support is pre-requirement. Confidence is the actual requirement of generating of the rules, and based on that you devise that rules, we generate, we put it together and showcase it. That is how a priori algorithm perform the operations. One last topic, and then we'll see the practical implementation of it, so we'll clear it so much easily. Drawbacks. A priori suffers from two main drawbacks which restrict the usage in real world use cases. Okay, real world use cases. So two drawbacks are there. Is computationally intensive. You can think of it. Let's see, 10,000 transactions are there. I'm having a data set with me. When I work on 9,000 transactions, my system hangs. 167 data items are present in it, and in 167 data items, how many intensivities with computational power I require, how much computational power I require, that's very important to understand and know. So if that I'm having got computational power, then only I can perform better operations with that. Remember, first, a priori requires repeated scan of database for item generation for all repeatedly. One item, then two item, then 3, 4, 5, 6. If I'm in 20 transactions, 20 items, sorry. So 20 time it will scan. 100 item, 100 time it will scan. 200 item, 200 time it will scan. Like that is possible there. So it's very resource intensive and time consuming algorithm is that. And second, it can mine misleading pattern, not always, but some exceptions are there. A priori and other association mining algorithms are known to produce rules that are product of a chance. Product of a chance. Generally, we are having a data, it's correct, and sometimes it may not happen because 100% time maybe it's not correct. Sometimes we can identify, this is okay. That's why I connected this item with this item. It's okay. It's possible to go ahead with it, and I can perform operation better way. It's possible. So these are what main drawbacks are there. Two main drawbacks that are present for a priori algorithms. You can explain in detail once you do the practice and understand that concept so much clearly. So it's very easy to identify in such kind of the cases here. Okay. So this is what the a priori algorithm is. I'll show the things practically also. So for a priori algorithm association rule, I'm using one package here. Wait a minute. I'll start and then we'll see. So two packages are required to do the thing because this thing is not very practical. So to get better understanding, we just can check it out and we'll see how it converts, what types of transactions are there, what type of associations are possible, how to extract the rules, how to save the rules, how to know the rules, how to check the confidence, support, lift, what is frequent item set, what is a priori, like all. Let's see practically. I'll just open my Jupyter notebook and then we will see. Just a minute. a minute. I'll show the data set first, and then we will see how it is implemented. Yeah, check this out. For example, I'm having a data set something like this. Like it contains the information about the groceries which is purchased by different kind of customers, and all these transactions are saved in a CSV file. It's very difficult to actually open this CSV file here. See, so step by step, just can check it out. Yeah, it's done there. See, this is first customer's transaction, then second customer, third, fourth, fifth, like many different transactions are there. And you can observe now every transaction is different, means different set of items are present in it. See this, here only two are there. See. Somewhere there are 10-20 transactions are also there. Completely random data set, unstructured data. So unstructured data analysis is done by some different method here in the actual programming. When you do the a priori algorithm, how you identify and generate. Let's see the data set that we have, and I'm not using this data set. Basically, it is wasting too much time to work, and it may hang the system in many cases, because I see this what candidates structure it create takes too much time to do it. But real data set are something like that. You must have that much computational power to work with. I'll use a small data set, the same data set which I shown here in the example, not the output. Like apple, beer, that what I have shown. 8 transactions are there. We'll use that, and we'll see how exactly the rules are generated. Let's see this. Yeah. Oh, what? Okay. Okay, now see, first of all, I'll just show you how data is used there. So actual association rules, how they are actually created and how they are generated. Let's see, for example, the data set which I shown, groceries data set, that I want to use. Okay, I want to import it, but the data set present in that groceries is non-structured. There is no any structure present in it. Unstructured, so that kind of file can't be read by using your program. So what we do, algorithm also will not use that data. Algorithm require the data in the structured format. Unstructured data can't be read by it. So special format is required there. I'll show you how I have read that one. So here in this example, so I'm using some CSV package, and with the help of this CSV package, I'm reading a data set. So I'm importing it, and after that, there is a data set kind of a data set name list I have created, and to that list I'm appending one by one row, first row, second row in the row format by opening this grocery.csv file in reading mode. In reading mode as a file, I am reading it. Reader is equal to csv.reader. Read that file by using comma delimiter, because it's a CSV file. That's why delimiter that file is containing is a comma. Okay, so I'll read line by line. Okay, from that line I'm attaching one word by word to this particular row. First row is attached, then second row will be read, third, fourth, fifth, all the rows which are read in the reader, they are appended. And you can see this one, how the rows are taken. See this. First row is this, first set of element, first list of element, tropical fruit, yogurt, coffee. If you see this, see, these are the first set they are read, what we require. Okay, tropical fruit, yogurt, and coffee. I think first is deleted because first is a row actually. First, the name. Okay, name of that column. That's why it's taken 0 to 15. Whole milk. Then here we have something. This is I've taken random fashion. And if you see how many transactions there are, 9,835 transactions are there. Now, basically, to convert or to apply the a priori algorithm, we need structured data. Every data should be perfectly structured. So, generally, when you make use of this association rule a priori algorithm, practically I'm talking about, they are converting data into structured format. How it is done? This data is very high, that's why I will not take data, I'll take this data itself. The data that we are having here, we have created. Now let's say the data set that you have read, it was in this particular pattern. It was something like this, like apple, beer, rice, chicken, apple, beer, rice, apple, beer, apple, bananas. Here, bananas is added instead of pear. So milk, beer, rice, chicken, milk, beer, rice, milk, beer, bananas, and sorry, apple and bananas. Correct. Same, only instead of pear, I am having bananas written over here. That's it. The data set I have created. And if I print a data set, you can see random transactions are present over here. So the data set, these are the random transactions present. Okay, so this random transaction data will be converted into the structured data. See, to find the frequent item set, it will become easy for us. Now, how easy is that? How easy is that? That's what we have to know. By using line by line, line by line, line by line will be difficult, but column by column will be easy because column will be less than the rows. Maybe 100 transactions are there, so 100 columns will be there. Sorry, 100 items are there, 100 transactions will be there, 100 columns will be there. But if 1000 transactions, 10,000, 20, any number of transactions are possible, column will become same. Okay, so see how to do this one. I'm converting into structured format from this data set, which we have over here. Okay, see, data set, all that item, 8 transactions. Now there is a concept called a transaction encoder. Now see, in data science, we have talked about the data pre-processing technique. Now some algorithms require special pre-processing, which is devised for that algorithm only. There is a algorithm. Okay, after that we are having algorithm regression category. We'll see how regression. In linear regression, there's a special method, polynomial regression, polynomial transformation is there, specially required for that algorithm only. Here also for a priori, we require a concept of transaction encoder. It is used to convert non-structured transaction into structured transaction. Non-structured transaction into structured transaction. That is done by the transaction encoder. I'll show you how it is done. See, so there's a class which is I have imported from this particular package. Scikit-learn don't have that particular algorithm of the association rules. A priori algorithm is not present. That's why we require the algorithm. We require the package MLExtend. So from MLExtend, see this one. MLExtend is an alternative used for scikit-learn in Python, which I'm using here. Inside that, this transaction encoder class is present, which I imported, and see, transactions are encoded. Here, this class is created, object is created, and then I'm using fit transform method to apply the transaction encoding onto it. And then I got this trans. How it is done? See, all true for true. Structured data is converted, created now. Structured data completely. But what's the meaning of it? See, they have created this actually. See how many items are there? That number of columns are present. How many items? 6 items are there. Apple, bananas, beer, chicken, milk, and rice. And you can see first row is of first transaction. So apple present, banana not present, beer present, chicken present, milk not present, rice present. That's what we have here. So here bananas and milk, these two are not present in sequence. Now check about this apple, beer, rice. So apple present, bananas not present, beer present. What is this? I think it's milk. Milk or chicken, I think. Chicken. Chicken. This is chicken. It's not present. Milk, not present. Rice, present. So whichever is present, it shows true there. Whichever is not present, showing false. That's why it's transformation then. Non-structured data will be converted to structured data, and now it will become easy to find a support. Now, how to find a support of apple? We just have to add all first column together. True plus true plus true. There, true is 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 5 out of 8 is a support of apple. Correct. 5 out of 8. Apple is present there. Okay. Or in the second column, what we have here, bananas. So 2 out of 8 bananas. Beer, 6 out of 8 beer. Chicken, 2 out of 8. Milk, 3 out of 8. Rice, 4 out of 8. Done. Support is calculated. Can be calculated. This is the method that they follow. That's why data is converted from non-structured to structured format by this particular method. That is what practically done. We have seen the theoretically, but practically this is the concept that we actually do. And by that, it is possible to create a frequent item set first, and from frequent item set, we will generate the rules. As we have seen the example, we can do this. Just see. Now, here are the column names that we can see. And now I am converting that data into the structured format, something like this. This is the data frame that I have created. See this one. I have attached that columns to the two-dimensional array, two-dimensional list, 2D list, and then you can see the data frame. Data frame is a special data structure that last time that we have seen in the clustering technique, what was present. Okay. So that same thing I have done over here. I've converted data into data frame. It's table format. Now you can see. That's what we have. In first transaction number 0, apple present, banana not, beer yes, chicken yes, milk not, rice yes. So if I add them together, I will get the support of apple. Let's see how to do. See, I'll just show you. So how to calculate the support of apple? df of apple divided by length of tf. So every sorry, just try just to add sum of (0.625) is the support of apple. Okay, support of apple, addition of apple. Even we can apply this step separately to them also, separately to that particular item. That's also possible, but it's a different function that we can use. So this is support of apple. I want to find the support of bananas. 0.25, correct? Support of let's say milk. 0.375. So 3 out of 8. 0.375. That's fine. This is easy method. That's why actual programming, they perform operation in this particular way to find the support. Okay, and now let's create a frequent item set. See how it is done. Now, again in the package ML extend frequent patterns, I'm having a priori algorithm present. Okay, so by using a priori algorithm, we first of all find the frequent item sets. So how it is done? Frequent item sets I calculated here by using a priori algorithm by applying our data frame which I have created here. This item or this particular data frame item, okay, sorry, I'm applying here to the a priori algorithm, and as we have seen, a minute, what happened? Yeah. So as we have seen, we must have minimum support. So I just given minimum support as 0.001, means 0.1% minimum support should be present. So I'll make it 0.1, means 10% minimum support should be present. Let's say 10% time that item should be present, or the set of items should be present. Then how frequent items it will be generated. Column names, okay, I'm taking it. So minimum support that should be provided. This is the first step of a priori algorithm. It will generate it and check the frequent item set. Now see, minimum support is considered 0.1%. Now see, apple, banana, beer, chicken, milk, rice, banana, apple, beer, apple, then apple, chicken, apple, rice. So first candidate, first level, correct? Then let's go for second level here. This is the second level, their combinations. Then this is the third level, their combinations, and this is the fourth level categories. 24 set of items are possible in that. Fine. First step that we have completed. So by using frequent item sets, that's how possible. You just have mentioned how frequency you want, 0.1. You can check everyone is above 10%. So beer, milk, chicken, rice, both coming together 0.125%. Actually, there 1%, one time is present out of it. That is same 0.125. If we change it, see, for example, I want this support not 0.1, I want 20% support. Now for this case, what will happen? See, 25 only, 25, 50, 37, only that are out of 24 were present. Now I am having 16 items only. So I have changed the criteria of minimum support to 20%. Now the things are changed. 16 only frequent item sets I got. Some item sets are removed, means 4 times they are coming together, and 0.125 was the frequency of them. Support of them, it is removed now. So it depends what's the minimum support you require. Based on that, you devised your frequent item sets here, like this method. Fine. So this is what I have done here, a priori algorithm. Let's make it 0.1. So more number of entries will be available with us. 24 are there. Yes. Now build the rules. The algorithm again that we have seen, we're going to have category 1, then category 1 to 2, extracted from 1, whatever are there, they will go to 2, extracted, then extracted, then extracted. Yes. Here we'll be using a metric. What's that? Confidence matrix. So in MLXtend, we have frequent patterns package. Inside that we have a function called as association rules, and this function will be used to generate association rules to perform the second step of generation of rules in a priori algorithm. So how it is done? Rules equal to association rules. Okay, here frequent item set is given first parameter. Then we are providing the metric. Okay, what's the confidence level? It means you have to generate the rules, but that rule should have minimum confidence level, let's say 50%. Minimum confidence level 50%. Okay, metric is confidence, minimum threshold level, it will be 50%. Extracted, check out the rules. Now they are there. See. What we have? Antecedent and consequent. If I am having banana, so I am taking apple also with confidence 100%. Is that apple and banana confidence 100%? I can check. Yeah, bananas and apple. Bananas and apple, yes. 2 out of 2. Banana is coming 2 times. Along with that, apple is also coming 2 times. Yes, 100% confidence. See, antecedent. If this, then that. Consequent, then that. Antecedent support and consequent support. And both of their support. Okay, they are coming together. Their support is this. Okay. So how many rules are there? See, total 60 rules. 61 rules are created. 0 to 60. So this is a support of bananas. Which one? This one. This is support of apple. And see, you got the confidence 100% when antecedent support and overall support is same. Support of this and overall support is same. So 25 and 25. That's why confidence is 100% that we got. And support. Fine. This is the lift. Last one. This is lift. Correct. Okay, see, beer apple 50%, apple beer 60%, beer apple 50%, and apple beer 60%. That's good. Chicken apple 50%, rice apple 50%, beer chicken along with that milk rice, beer chicken along with that milk rice 50%. You can see 50% confidence. 2 out of 1 transaction contains that. That's what we have. 0.125 is the minimum support that is presented. 61 rules are created there. That's what we can do. And many operations are possible. It's not like 61 rules you have to take. Okay, if I change the criteria, I want minimum confidence as 80%. many? 19 rules are there only. 61 rules are truncated to 19 rules. All are having 100% confidence now. 100% confidence. All are having. They are true for all the occasions. That we can see. And now lift is also good for all. It's above 1 always for all. Lift is above. That's a relative rule. So I'll share this code with you. You can try onwards also. Okay. There's no data set required. I'm using data set directly in the program. That's what we can use. Okay. Remember. And see, few more tasks that I can do for these particular rules are something like this. I want to add one more column to them to check that I want only one rule on antecedent, or only one item on antecedent, 2 items on antecedent, 3 items on antecedent. That we can see. So I want to make use of many different filtering methods, and I filter the rules accordingly. How to do this one? See, here I'm taking antecedent length. I'm adding one more column to it by calculating the length. This is a Python formula I'm using lambda function. You can see this is what we have generated. Total rules are 61, and even extra column I'm adding here. How many elements are present on antecedent side? 1 item, 2 item, or 3 item, whatever. That's we can see. That's why I'm adding, and accordingly I can generate. Now I want the rule. I want the rules whose antecedent length in total number of antecedents are 1 and support is greater than 30. See, this is what I mentioned here. Rules and rules, new rules is equal to rules of antecedent length is equal to 1, and rules of support is greater than 30%. 30% support should be present, and only one item should be there on antecedent. So if I purchase this, then I purchase that. Okay, single only. See, beer, apple, beer, beer, milk, beer, beer, rice, beer. Okay, only one antecedent on this side. Antecedent, only one item. And support, they are having above 30%. See, 37, 37, 37, 37, 50, and 50. That's we can extract the rules from. Or one more, on antecedent side, I want rice. See, antecedent, if rice, then what? See, if rice, then what? If I'm having rice, I can purchase apple also. Okay. Okay, yes, see this one. This is very interesting to see. Consequent and the confidence also, I'll write. See, when I am purchasing rice, then what can I suggest? I can suggest apple, whose confidence 50%. I can suggest beer, whose confidence 100%. I can suggest chicken, whose confidence 50%. Milk 50%. Apple, beer and apple also 50%. I can suggest beer and chicken also 50%. I can suggest beer and milk also 50%. That's why you can extract. So whenever you purchase something, they check it. He's purchased, then what is the suggestions that we can have consequent, if this then that, what? So this is how we can extract it and suggest to them to perform the operations of recommendation system that we are using here. Okay, fine. Inverse is also possible, like I'm having beer. Okay, consequent, on what condition you purchase beer? Apple beer, chicken beer, milk beer, rice. Beer is connected to everyone, I think, in combinations also. Yeah, apple beer 60% confidence, chicken beer 100%, milk beer 100%, rice beer 100%. So beer depend upon everything, I think. So not independent. Banana is not there only. Banana is only connected with the apple, and beer is connected to almost all: apple, chicken, milk, and rice all. Fine. This is how consequent can be checked. Okay, even I just want only 3 parts of it. Okay, like I want to have the rules with their confidence. Yeah. If this, then that, and their confidence is this. So you decide what you want. Even I can again apply another filter by which I can check above that confidence level I want. Above only 70% confidence level I want. That's also possible. So number of rules I got, and even I can sort them by the support also. See this. Oh, what's the problem? The rules have changed actually. That's why it is. I want to sort by, just sort by confidence. I can support this rule by confidence. Highest confidence rule to the lowest confidence. Highest 1%, 100%, and lowest 50%. I have sorted them. You can check 0 number 16, 36, 43. These numbers are, but rules are sorted accordingly. This column that I can do. See. And I want to save them in a CSV file, just like yesterday that we have done. We have done all the tasks of clustering and then we have separated the clusters. So now association rules also, whatever rules we have extracted, I am going to save these rules in the CSV file, like rules.csv, which is shown over here. And if I go to my current working directory, yeah, so you can see that rules are saved. What are the names? Yeah, this one. This file I have created. I'll just close this original file first. And the rules that I have formulated, they are stored in the frozen set format, I think. Wait a minute. Now, so using the CSV method, it's in frozen set format. Check this. Unmodifiable set that we call. Antecedent bananas, then suggest apple, 100% confidence, like that. Rice, beer, 100% confidence. Okay, or chicken, rice, apple, beer and apple, 50% confidence. 62 rules are that we extracted and then have saved here. Okay, like this. So in this way, it's possible to generate the rules. And use these rules in the coding. Okay, they can make use of it. We are extracted and we have done all this operation to generate and save that rules in the program. Okay, that's how we can do it. We can perform operation of association rule mining. That's what we're done. So the things I just explained, that's I was shown on this particular presentation here. Transaction code that we have talked about, and how different operations are possible on that association rule, that also we have seen. What are the applications of it? Like we have cross-selling, we have seen that application, product placement, affinity promotion, fraud detection, customer behavior identification. Okay, so all these things are possible. These are the common core area of applications that where we can use the association rule mining algorithms here. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, for association rule mining, if you have any doubts or questions, so you just can ask, or I'll just check you the next step which is present here. If any doubts or questions are there, so we can ask. Till then, I'll just start the next one, which we have in the sequence. Yeah, there. This presentation which I just shown, that's uploaded on the given link. Maybe future presentation also uploaded. I'm going to show you in that sequence practically also every topic, so the things will be clear. So these two techniques that we have seen here, we have seen till in this particular unit, they are the part of pattern or rule generation. Okay, pattern identification or rule generation is possible by these particular techniques. They are the part of unsupervised learning. That's why I have explained yesterday. Unsupervised, we are not going to have any predictions. We build the pattern, we build the groups, we build the rules. Based on that only, we perform the operations of generating the rules and then proceed further. Now, second part of the data analysis, data science is called as the predictive analytics. Predictive analytics, where the predictions are possible. We can predict something. So here again, two techniques are present in the predictive analytics. The first technique we called as the regression technique, second called as classification technique. When we have seen the machine learning, that time I have told about this, what is regression, what is classification. So when we are going to have the predictive analytics, we are going to do the predictions based on the previous data. So we can do the predictions. Either our prediction is in continuous data format. continuous. Result is any possibility, minus infinity to plus infinity. Any kind of possibility is there. That time, the algorithm of regression category is used. Regression category of algorithms are used in that case. And if we have the output in categorical format, categorical, then we are going to use the classification kind of algorithm. So two things that now we are going to have here in it. First, we are going to have a regression methods. What is linear regression? What is regression? That we will see again by examples also. And second part, we are having a classification methods where the output that we generate, that we expect from the respective data set, we predict is in categorical format. There are some categories present, and with the help of these categories, we can predict fix. There is no any possibilities of having continuous value. So either 3 out of 3, what is the output? Out of 4, what is the output? Out of 10, what is the output? That we are going to make use. That's called as classification systems. So we'll finish regression first, and then we'll go for the classification method. How classifications algorithms are used to do the classification of something in step by step. Let's see. So first method is regression method. That's what we have seen. It's a linear regression. So I told about regression already. You might be knowing linear regression. Like there's a relationship between one or multiple data, or 1:1. Talk about it. 1:1. I am having a continuous variables with me, and that continuous variable is dependent on another continuous variable. For example, the height and weight of the person. As height increases, weight also increases proportionally. Height increases, weight also increases. So weight depends upon height, is it? Weight can depend on height, or the many facts, like for example mileage of the car. Let's say weight of the car changes mileage of the car. So weight increases, mileage decreases. So they are having linear connectivity between them. So linear regression is a method to find a linear relationship between target or one or more predictors. So two common regressions are there. Out of it, first is simple, second is multiple. We are having only simple regression here. We'll talk about simple linear regression, how exactly it is created, and how it is used for predictive analytics. The data or the operation that we do on prediction, how exactly it is done, that also we will see. Now, simple linear regression. Simple linear regression is useful for finding relationship between two continuous variables, as I told about it. One is a predictor variable, that's called an input variable, which is independent variable, and second is response variable, which is the dependent variable. Response or dependent variable. Two kind of variables are there. It looks for statistical relationship, but not deterministic relationship. Okay, statistical, deterministic is not there. Relationship between two variables is said to be deterministic if one variable can be accurately expressed by other. There is a formula present there. Like you say, I want to identify the Fahrenheit value from the Celsius value. Fahrenheit value from Celsius value, you can do it. When Celsius increases, Fahrenheit values will also increase, but they are not linear regression. They are deterministic. Deterministic means they are having a formula present in between. Based on that formula only they will increase. Direct linear is not there. Statistical relationship is not there. They are having a relationship connected to formula. With that formula only they will go ahead. Relationships is not linear, deterministic is present in that case. Okay, so statistical relationship is not accurate in determining relationship between two variables, like height and weight I told. Height and weight ideal values are there, but not every time it is true. Machine learning, which I explained, machine learning try to focus on the accuracy, but not always the results are 100% accurate. Okay, not always the results are 100% accurate. They may be accurate at some extent, 90%, 80%, but not 100%. Not always possible, but okay. So the relationship that we can form with the help of the data, a linear relationship is there. When one increases, second also increases or decreases proportionally. Okay, so core idea is to obtain the line of best fits the data. The best fit line is one of those for which the total predictor error is small as possible. So erase the distance between the point to be on regression line. Let's see this one. First example is positive regression. Second example is negative regression. So here positive linear relationship is present. It's incrementing, means as x increments here, along with that y also increments. Okay. So x value, I'm having one input variable here, and output variable I'm having y here on this side. Okay, so x this side, y this side, and you can see the plot. If plot is like horizontal, it means that x increases but y is constant. If plot is vertical, it means that x is constant but y is increasing. So they don't have any relationship between them. That is, we have positive linear here. It is shown like it's having a 40-degree angle. That's positive linear relationship is there. Fine. Okay, inverse to that we have negative linear. Okay, negative linear. Okay, like this, negative relationship. And one more thing to know, we can make use of the correlation formula that we have seen in the previous unit. Pearson correlation or Spearman correlation. With the help of that, we can identify how these values are linearly connected together. If they are linearly connected, then only linear regression we can apply. So linear regression is a method by which you represent the relationship between two dependent variable in a two-dimensional plane in the form of a line, in this way, as a positive linear or negative linear that we will have here. Let's see real life examples. We have a data set which contains information about relationship between number of hours studied and marks obtained. Correct? What do you think? And one more thing is there, your intelligence score can also be there. So if you are studying more, you will get more marks. Linear relationship. So many students have been observed that their hours of study and grades are not recorded. So this will be our training data. Okay, so goal is to design a model that can predict the marks if number of hours are given as input. Using the training data, regression line is obtained which will give a minimum error. Okay, this is the example. So if you put that in the form of a line, in the form of 2D plot, so we can have a line generated there. This linear equation is then used for any new data. So we can predict the same thing will happen. For example, years of experience and the salary of that person. Okay, they are linearly connected. Experience increases, salary increases. Correct. So we'll build a model linear regression, and now we can see that in future, after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, how much salary I will have. Prediction line will be that line will go. So predictive analytics will be done perfectly when the data is linearly connected. They are collinear. The linearity score from Pearson or the Spearman or the Candle is good, above 90%, 95%, almost 100%. 100% not possible. So maybe real-time example is not possible there. Okay, we may have some some sort of collinearity between them, and then we can make use of this particular feature to build a line and to do the predictive analytics on the data linearly. That's how it is possible. Okay, so if we give, this is what the formula that we have. If we give number of hours studied by student as input, our model should predict the marks with minimum error. This is how we can do. See, sorry, okay. Y is the predicted value. That's why we have marks. Okay, B0 plus B1x. B0 plus B1. B0, what B0 is? It's C. It's called as Y coefficient. Oh, sorry, Y intercept. And B1 is the slope of that line. Generally. Okay. So value B0 and B1 must be chosen so that they minimizes the error. If sum of squared error, this is the formula shown over here. Sum of squared error is taken as metric to evaluate the model, then the goal is to obtain the line that best reduces that particular error. So if you don't have squared error, then positive negative values point will cancel to each other. That's why squared error is there. We'll see that how this sum squared error is actually calculated with some examples. Now, there are many names that linear regression is having. The reason is because linear regression is having around for so long, more than 200 years in statistics, which is the very old algorithm of statistics. It has been studied for every possible angle, and often each angle has a new and different name. Like it is having a linear model name. For example, the model that assumes linear relationship between input variable x and the single output variable y. More specifically, that y can be calculated from linear combinations of input variable x. Yes. Okay. So when there is a single input variable, the method is referred as simple linear regression. One input, 1:1. Simple linear regression. And when there are multiple input variables, it's called as multiple linear regression. Let's say, for example, the mileage of the car depend upon the horsepower, depending upon the manual or automatic. Car is automatic or manual, depending upon the fuel that you use. Correct? Multiple are there that generate the mileage. Second part, that incrementing may be possible. It's called as multiple regression. Or your marks that you achieve depend upon two factors: number of hours you study, or whatever your intelligence score, IQ score is there. Okay, intelligence quotient. Based on that you define. So how many number of years study and what is your IQ score, based on that your marks will be defined. Fine. This is called as multiple linear regression. So we generally focus on linear, which is single linear, simple linear. We are having one input variable and one output variable. Based on that, regression modeling can be done. Let's see some applications like trend lines. A trend line is a representation of variation in some quantitative data with the passage of time, like GDP. GDP changes according to time. Oil prices, we see that today changes. What's a factor affecting onto it that you look for? The input variable is that. This trend usually follow linear relationship. Hence, linear regression can be applied to predict the future values. Economics, to predict the consumption spending, fixed investment spending, inventory manage investment, purchase of countries export, spending on imports, demand to hold liquid assets, labor demand, labor supply. Depends on the factors. Finance, capital price asset model, uses linear regression to analyze and quantify the systematic risk of investment. Biology, is to model causal relationship between parameter in biological systems. So these are the examples that we can use the linear regression model more effectively to build a line, generate the results accordingly. There are some format of linear regressions are possible. Means modifications are there. Out of it, the first modification is called as ordinary least square, OLS, that we call. Least square regression is also given a name to it. When we have more than one input, we can use ordinary least square to estimate value of coefficient. So purpose is same, linearly connected there. But what exactly they do? Okay, see this one. They perform the approach treats the data as a matrix and uses linear algebra operation to estimate the optimal values of coefficient. Now, see this one. Ordinary least square method, it's like that. I'm having ordinal values here. Here we have red values which are actual values present in data set. Observation, your own observations. And the white one which are on the center of that line, they are the predicted values, y hat. Now, ordinary least square is a method which perform operation of minimizing the distance of red dot and white dots. Minimizes the distance between the red, means optimal distance. Optimal I'm talking about, not exactly same. Exactly at the center where the least amount of error is present, that is achieved with the algorithm called as ordinary least square regression is used. Ordinary OLS regression we call it. And there are some formulas which are used there. It's a derivative of linear regression to build a line, the line of best fit that we call. Line of best fit, which is identified with the level of ordinary least square regressions. And one more is called a gradient descent, which is one more extension to the linear modeling. When there are one or more input, as you can see, a process of optimizing the values of coefficient by iteratively minimizing the error of model on your training data. Okay, this operation is called as the gradient descent algorithm. Okay, so for this case, sum of the squared error are calculated for each pair of input and output values. And here also try to minimize the error as possible. Gradient descent algorithm that we call, it's not used much. General linear regression and OLS, ordinary least square regressions, are very commonly used in this particular system. So many more methods are there, but the things, they are not actually there in your syllabus. You're having only this part there in the syllabus. We'll see the things practically step by step, how regression modeling is created and how it is characterized, also how you evaluate it. So evaluation is also very important to know. After evaluation, we just can check the effectiveness of the given algorithm on the data set there, that we can see. That's from my side. If you have any questions regarding today's session, so you can ask. Presentations are uploaded on the given link. You can download from that link also. Okay. If any doubts or questions for this particular topic, so you can ask. After the end of this unit, we have the third practical that's based on predictive analytics. We'll see that one when this unit is ended. Okay, if any doubts or questions are, we can ask, or we can send on the WhatsApp group also. Thank you. Stop here. Thank you.